Hello YouTubers and hobbyist benchmarkers, this is Udagamon and I welcome you to another one of my benchmarking videos. In this video I'm going to do a few runs of some 3Dmark tests and a comparison with my older benchmarks on a Core i5-2500K. For these runs I'm going to use a Core i7-860 with the same video card I used on the Sandy Bridge processor, just to see a comparison of the two systems. As always, this video is recorded on an external recorder, so what you will see in this video will be pure performance. The system is overclocked to 4 GHz. There we are. It has 12 GB of memory. And the graphics card is a GTX 1070 made by KFA2. It is the EX model running on the latest firmware, and it is also a little overclocked in order to reach 2 GHz of boost clock. As a reminder, for my Core i5-2500K benchmarks, the CPU was operating at 4.8 GHz. I will put a link on the comments below, so it will be easier for you to find. So, benchmarking time. I have already uploaded Firestrike videos. Now I'm going to run iStorm, the iStorm Extreme, Cloudgate and the Skydiver, and I will do a comparison after each run with my Core i5 system. Let's start with the iStorm, which I believe it is the unlimited, yes. You know what, I'm also going to launch Fraps because I was using that on my Core i5 system. Just to be correct, I want the same things running. If you hear any coil whine noise, it is coming from the microphone, believe it or not. Right now I'm not hearing anything, and I will only find out after all this video is recorded and I go back to replay it. Okay, the first run of the iStorm Unlimited is finished, so let me go to the comparison online. Wait a minute, 138841. Okay, this is a valid result, and let me add this code to the comparison, and let me go to my iStorm runs. Now I'm not exactly sure which iStorm run I should add to the comparison. Okay, I thought this one should be the iStorm Unlimited. I may have been missing something. In any case, we will see in a moment. It is not the Unlimited, it is the vanilla iStorm. Is there an option here that I am missing? No. Yes. I should have run the Unlimited. No problem, I will run it later. It seems I clicked on this one. That's okay. Let's do a comparison here. I have results from all these benchmarks and nothing is stopping me to benchmark everything all over again. So the 3Dmark score is of course better on the Core i5-2500K processor. Everything is better actually, the graphics score, the overall score, the physics score. The Core i5-2500K is having a considerable performance lead over the Core i7-860. Now this is out of the way. Let me go and run the iStorm Unlimited. I hope I'm not going to do anything stupid. I actually already did something stupid. I should have looked at the MSI Afterburner logging, but that's okay. That was it. That is the Unlimited. Seriously? Okay, let's go instantly to the online comparison. Why do I remember something different? I'm not sure. 146. Okay, let's add this to the comparison and let me go to the iStorm test. Let's see the Unlimited on the Core i5-2500K. Okay, so the Unlimited is something different, I guess. Something different, completely different. And everything is faster on the Core i5-2500K again, but this time we do have a small advantage of the iStorm Graphics Test 1, which is a little weird to tell you the truth, but in any case you see the results here, so you can extract your own so frame rate is crazy high for the first iStorm run, but the GPU usage is quite low. As you can see, the GTX 1070 is not operating at its maximum. There are some theoretical tests here on the second run which also do not stress the GPU as much. The CPU usage is quite high only on the physics test, and again we do not have maxed out CPU usage on the first iStorm run. This is a very different test compared to Firestrike, which really maxes out the CPU. I'm just going to scroll MSI Afterburner a little so you can see all the available graphs and stats and whatever that MSI Afterburner has logged. Not very RAM intensive. The core clock of the card is all over the place, as you can see, because it is not getting any considerable load, at least for these tests, and we also have a serious CPU limit, so the core clock does not go to 2 GHz. As you can see, we have a no load limit registered throughout all the runs, so the GTX 1070 is actually taking a break here. In any case, let me close this graph and go back to my benchmarks. The iStorm Extreme is a little more heavy because it is increasing the rendering resolution from 720p to 1080p. So let's see what kind of performance and comparison with the Core i5 we can see here. As you can see, guys, this is the first time I'm running all of these runs, all of these benchmarks. So we are looking at the performance as it is straight out of the first runs. I'm expecting a CPU limit here as well. As you can see on the top right, the GPU load is again very low, but the good thing with the iStorm runs is that once you throw in a really fast CPU, you can instantly see the difference of the stronger cores, because of course the GPU load will be significantly higher. These tests do not seem to be very well threaded if you look at the CPU usage, so they rely mostly on strong cores. That's why we saw on the previous run of the basic iStorm, the vanilla 720p iStorm, that the Core i5 2500K was quite faster. I'm expecting about the same here. I'm not sure about the physics test, but as you can see, it is hovering around 50% overall for the CPU, so this one should also be slower than the Core i5. Thank you for validating my score. Let's go to the online comparison. So these are my results. Let's add this to the comparison, and also I am checking the benchmark result because sometimes the browser is getting confused and it shows some silly stuff. iStorm. So I want the iStorm Extreme extreme, yes, on the Core i5 2500K. Okay, and let's compare these two. We see roughly the same thing again here. The Core i5 2500K is faster by quite a significant amount, especially on the physics core. It is 30%, 31% faster. I remind you that on the Firestrike runs, the Core i7-860 was actually faster than the Core i5, so iStorm is not really that well threaded, and what it really measures, it is fast, strong cores, CPU cores. So the better the CPU, the better the results will be getting due to the low GPU load, of course. Okay, let's close this and let's go to MS Afterburner for a quick look to see how the GPU load graphs are looking. You can see that the 1070 is once more very underutilized. It is a little better utilized during the second test, which is quite okay at 80 something percent. The physics test shows that it does not take advantage of the logical cores, so we have an overall CPU usage at 50%. This is a very clear example. You can see that exactly here where I have the mouse pointer, it shows 50% on average, 50, 52, 49, 48. This is a clear thread switching, my friends, and it shows that the load we are seeing on the logical cores is only thread jumping from one core to the other, nothing else. That's why the CPU temps are quite low. The core clock of the GTX 1070 did go up to 2 GHz when the load was significant. During the first run you can see the crazy clocks the GTX 1070 is getting. Very impressive job from Nvidia on these cards. The clock is very dynamic and really drops when the load is not very high. And again we have the no load limit registered by the video card by MS Afterburner. So let me clear this one. And again, benchmarks. We are now going to the cloud gate, which will make things a little more interesting. It is a DirectX 11 benchmark, which is quite higher than the iStorm, but still not very heavy. However, the GPU load in this one should be closer to getting maxed out, I think, because as I told you, I have never run these tests on the Core i7-860 before, so I cannot really be sure about any of that. No, it is not maxing out, at least in this test, which does not seem 1080p to me. Maybe there is another 1080p test later. I'm not sure why FutureMark designed this ugly test. I mean, come on, they have some decent coders. Okay, let's let the validation complete. Okay, and go to the online comparison. Very nice. The score of my system is getting a little better in the overall sorting. That is because these tests are getting a little more GPU dependent, and the 1070 should be 90%, should be at the 90% of all results. So let's add this to the comparison, and let's also add the cloud gate of my Core i5-2500K, if I find it, that is cloud gate. Yes, this is it. Very good. Some interesting stuff is going on here. Okay, let's give this a moment to first of all, the overall 3Dmark score is better on the Core i7-860. However, the graphics score is better on the Core i5-2500K. So what is giving the Core i7-860 the leverage here is the physics score, I think. That means that CloudGate maybe is paying a little more attention on the physics score and the physics test, which is the same thing. Okay, so that's why it has a better overall 3Dmark score, but the fact remains that the Core i5-2500K did have a better graphics score due to the better results of both graphics tests. Okay, the reason for that is exactly here. The GPU load was not maxed out on this test either. We do have some performance left for the GTX 1070. It is untapped due to the CPU limits of these runs, and we can see here what the problem is. We do not have activity on all cores. First of all, there seems to be the most activity seems to be on CPU 5 and CPU 1. The other ones not so much, and they are hovering at around 50%. So there should be threads jumping from core to core, and two main threads on the other CPUs. At least this is my guess. The reason the Core i7-860 is waning here, however, is because, as you can see, the CPU usage is very high on all cores, the logical ones too, and that's why the CPU temperature spiked quite a lot due to the very high load, and this gave us the win for the Core i7-860. However, in the graphics test we did have CPU limits. We can see how different the same system can perform even on the same test, which is crazy. The rest of the stats here: 2 GHz for the graphics tests, 1.5 for the physics test, which was to be expected. the physics test is not really GPU heavy. It actually triggers the no load limit, but during the graphics test we did have considerable load in order to not have the CPU load limit. And I'm not going to tire you, to bore you anymore, my friends, because this video is nearing its end. I'm going to run the Skydiver now, which I think is the heaviest of this benchmark shoot presented on this video. I'm not sure if the Core i7-860 will present a CPU limit for the GTX 1070 in the graphics tests. We will verify that in a moment. But overall, since this is based on the more well-threaded engine version of 3Dmark, I believe we will be looking at something like the Firestrike runs, better physics, lower graphics cores, and maybe even the combined will be lower, but we will see. You never know. The graphics on this one are okay. They are not frostbite quality, of course, but that is not the point. And here we can see the importance of tessellation, my friends. Very good tessellation. They could even call it tessellation. Physics tests. These should be interesting. Yes, we have some real activity on all cores, which is always welcome and nice to see. And this is where the Skydiver test will be real interesting. I am really curious to see if we will see a repetition of the Firestrike scenario. Let's see the result. Threads. Okay. The 96 threads, all these threads test should be very interesting on the Ryzen CPU, but unfortunately I do not have one. $28,410. Okay, again we are at the 90% of all results. Let me add this to the comparison and let's find the Skydiver results of the Core i5-2500K with the 1070. Thank you very much. Compare. Aha. Thankfully for this comparison, things seem to be more normal. They are expected. Actually, we do not have the better physics score that we were having on the Firestrike benchmark. However, the two physics scores are really close, as you can see here. For the combined test, we also have an advantage for the Core i5-2500K CPU, but also not by much. And everything is at 3 to 5% faster for the Core i5, which is a performance delta that should be acceptable if you consider the higher clock, but the Core i7-860 is having more threads which maybe are utilized in a better way for this run, for this benchmark. Let's see what MSI Afterburner has logged. However, the first run has a GPU load of 95%, so it is clearly CPU limited. We do not have much activity on all cores. Actually, it seems to be almost single threaded. The same goes for the second graphics test, only this time we have more load on CPU number 5. However, on the physics test, the CPU is really burning up. It is very decently utilized, and we can see crazy high CPU load and very high CPU temps. Wow, I don't think I have seen my Core i7-860 being that hot ever again. Maybe it is good that games are not that well threaded. In any case, I do not have any real issue with the system. It has served me well for over 7 years now. It is a very good system still. And for the last test, for the combined test of the Skydiver, we can see again that the CPU usage is quite high, quite well threaded test. Of course, still the GPU usage is not very high, but this is the nature of the test. It is designed to not be too heavy on the GPU, in spite of what Firestrike does, which is quite heavier. Quite interesting findings in this run. The Core i7-860, at least this time, is where it should be in terms of performance and GPU load and clocks and threads, etc. 2 GHz for all the GPU heavy runs, 1.5 for the CPU test. All things are expected, and we can see again the no load run, the no load limit on the physics run, which was to be expected. So quite long video. I will of course put some timestamps below in the comments, so you can quickly navigate to the start of all these runs. I hope you find this video quite interesting. If you do not mind, you can also share your own results, especially if you have a GTX 1070. I will be very interested to see your results with different CPUs and different systems. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. I will see you again very soon. Take care.